They are the essentials of learning: books, pencils, pens, and paper. However, last year, Overton High School parents were alarmed to hear from their kids that their classrooms were out of paper.
We would not allow any school to go without paper. We would not allow any school to go without materials.
In fact, that had already happened due to budgetary restrictions imposed as a result of an unexpected shortfall. So parents took matters into their own hands and delivered cases of paper for the entire school. What do you not have that you need?
Paper and pencil. We're expected to provide that child every day with a paper and pencil. That they're so prone to it now, they don't even bring their own.
We have classes where there are teachers with 25 students, and we can't have two classes with 25 students. And at first grade, they are almost packed in like sardines. And because the district cannot provide us another body, another teacher, so those children suffer, and it's because of the money. So if we could get the support, then our children would thrive. It would change their trajectory.
We have 3 copies of one book, not 3 sets. We have 3 copies of the books that we are supposed to be teaching our students with. And you know, they're supposed to be these high quality texts, and when you project them or you scan them and you show them on the screen, it's not the same as the kids having the books in their hands in front of them. You know, they are not as engaged with it.
We are wasting money on things like consultants, canned curriculum. That money could be used in the classroom according to the teacher's needs.
In Prince George's County, we look at our data very closely.
This was Dr. Sean Joseph before he was hired in Nashville, appearing in a promotional video for Performance Matters, a company that produces a student assessment program called Unify. And when he got to Nashville, Joseph pushed through a $1 million no-bid contract for the system, buying licenses for every single Metro School student. Raise your hand if you use Unify. No one.
I don't even know what it is. Never heard of it.
I'm sorry, what?
I don't know what that is.
Never heard of it.
How much are we paying?
$1 million.
$1 million. So.
And we've never heard of it.
I have heard of it, and I have seen a very brief snippet of what it's supposed to do, but that is as far as it's not something that's used.
It was never.
It was never really rolled out to us to use.
So what does that tell you about $1 million going for a program that most of you have never heard of?
Well, I think that just represents what we were talking about earlier, where we have invested in all of these awesome resources, but we don't have the training for them, or we don't know what they are. I was talking to a colleague last week that said their school had spent a lot of money on an online resource that would be great for use during intervention time to reinforce skills that they were working on. And they had it in August, and they didn't get trained on it until just this recent past professional development day. And when the representative came to train them on it, she said, this is wonderful for iPads to use, and you know, give your student their iPad and it works with them one-on-one. And the teacher said, well, we don't have one-on-one iPads. We have class, you know, grade level sets. And she said, well, that's okay. This also is great for small group lessons when you use them on your Clear Touch boards or your smart boards. And they raised their hand and said, we don't have those either. And they said that they were all but expecting her to say, then why did you buy this? You know, like, why did you spend so much money on it if you can't use it?
Does this frustrate you all as teachers?
Yes. Yeah. There's an obvious disconnect. Like, it's like people aren't talking to each other, and I don't feel like the teachers are involved in a lot of this planning. And truly, I mean, we know what's going on, like on the battlefield, you know, like we've got a lot to offer. And I feel like that resource isn't being met, or we're not being used, which kind of goes along with the teacher morale thing. Like when you don't feel like your voice is being heard and that you're being involved in conversations, and when you're being talked about as if you're a wild animal, I mean, it kind of doesn't make you feel very respected.
We've got to make sure that the professional development that teachers get is what they need. So
in this clip from his job interview, Dr. Joseph talked about involving teachers in planning their own training.
We don't just come in and say, here's what we're going to do. We ask them, we observe, we come to consensus about what's needed.
That's a half-truth. As we are often surveyed in our buildings, what professional development would you prefer? But we're given choices. In other words, we're not being asked, what do you need, what do you want? It's just, do you want this worthless one or that worthless one?
And so what he was saying would be his goal is not what you're seeing in practice.
Not at all.
When I first started teaching, the professional development I was receiving was all about showing me how to become a better teacher, how to find resources, how to plan units, how to design high-quality assessments. And the type of professional development I'm receiving now in Metro is, here's what you're going to do in your classroom and the best way to do it. So it's taken all the empowerment away from my role as a teacher. The ability to create has been replaced with do this because we think it's best. And I find that very stifling. And I don't think it's what's best for students.
I teach 7th grade, and I have students who are reading on kindergarten level in my classroom. And so when I'm given a scripted curriculum like IFL unit where they have to read this text, it's hard for me to be able to pull those kids into a small group and chunk it out to where they can understand it, especially when I don't have the time or the resources to go and find something similar on topic, but at a lower grade level for them to understand.
So there's a cookie cutter approach to curriculum, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
What happens if you complain?
So many of, like she was saying, the units are way above what our students can read and understand, and to just kind of be told, you know, figure it out, gets frustrating.